Hi everyone, this is Godsgirl G, and thank you so much for joining me today. For those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. And for those of you returning to my channel to watch this video and you're not already subscribed, I am going to encourage you to do so by hitting the subscribe icon below. And if during the course of this video you hear something that you like, why don't you click the thumbs up, comment below, or better yet, share this video with someone who you feel could benefit from the information. With that said, let's get into today's discussion. Back in November, I gave you another opportunity to ask me questions about anything. And I could then choose which questions I wanted to respond to. I want to thank you so much for those of you who took time to write to me via email. It's where I got the majority of the questions. Thank you so much for taking the time to do that. And so this video is dedicated today to answering those burning questions. Now, this is going to be uncut, unrehearsed. I didn't do a lot of prep work, and that's because I wanted you to hear my initial response to your questions. So let's get started. Question 1, how do you begin again in the dating area? All right, I think that's a good question. So when I hear begin again, that tells me it could be a couple of different things that are going on. One, you just getting over a bad breakup. That could be including a divorce. It could be that you are widowed. It could be that you've changed your mind about dating and you want to get back into the dating arena. So let's talk. I think the first step is to make sure that you've done the work to heal. So for whatever reason that you find yourself back on the dating scene, so to speak, just make sure you've taken time to heal from whatever prompted you or triggered you to get back involved in the dating scene. The other big tip that I will tell you is that you need to recognize that you may have changed over the long run. So if you were married, for example, to someone for 15 years and you got divorced, they passed away, recognize that what you were looking for, your likes or dislikes, or you yourself, you have changed since the last time that you were on the market on the dating scene. You've changed. So take time to reevaluate exactly what it is that you are hoping to accomplish on this next round of being in the dating arena. Now, I'm going to be doing a video on how to begin again here in the next upcoming weeks. So look for that video that will go into more details, and I'll give you some tools and resources that I used when I was in the same predicament. So hopefully that helps. So here was a relationship question that I got. What do you do if your spouse keeps doing the same thing you don't like and you've already asked them to stop doing it? Okay, so without knowing a whole lot of what's going on there, one of the things that I always try to think about is that if you are with somebody and they're doing something that you just do not like, and let's say you're married, not in a dating relationship or anything like that, just make sure you have appropriately and clearly articulate the why they need to change that. And if all you have to say is, I just don't like it, I don't know if that's compelling enough for them to change. So for example, maybe you have a spouse that they smoke cigarettes. I'll use that one as an example. And you say, I really wish you would stop smoking. And they're going to look at you and then be like, well, I've been smoking for all of these years. Well, when you changed up the conversation to talk about the consequences of smoking and the fact that you want them around for a long time, and you share some other compelling and specific reasons for why that might be spark enough desire in them to want to change. But you really need to check your why of why they need to change, and are you sharing a compelling story? Also check yourself of why you're asking them to change to make sure it's a reasonable change. If they were doing that before you got married and you married them and they still doing it, I don't know. You might just have to live with that. Okay, next question. What video are you most shocked about the response? Okay, well, that's the easy one. There's two videos. I'll share an older video and a more recent video. The very first video that I did that I just was completely shocked about the response was signs that it's time to end a relationship. And what is so funny, I did that late at night. I mean, a couple of y'all, it's funny, this is years ago around the time I almost, first started the channel. Y'all commented on like, Godsgirl G, you look tired. What happened to your eyebrow? I mean, y'all had some comments on there that had me rolling. But I did that video on the cusp of a breakup of when I was still dating. And I recognized that, you know what? These are some signs that, you know what, it's time to let go. I was doing a relationship health check. You hear me? I had to evaluate, really, is this healthy for me to stay in? Is this going in the right direction? The thing that I was most shocked about is how many people resonated with what I was saying. Now, a lot of people thought I was talking about married couple. Now, it could have applied to some married couples, but it was really for people who were in the dating, who were just dating and not in a committed relationship, because I don't like to promote divorce. I really don't. But it was really, I was just dating and I was just sharing my heart like, you know what? And so that was the very first video that literally put me, I'm not really on the map, but that's what let me know that, hey, maybe I'm onto something here. The second video is a more recent video, and y'all will probably already know about this because many of y'all joined as a result of that video, and that is Dear White Church, Why I Left. I mean, when I was doing that video, I struggled with the sharing of that story. That story was several years old by the time that I had made it. And it was difficult for me to make because I knew there were going to be mixed responses to it. But that's the second video that I've been shocked with the response. I was not expecting it to kind of take off like it has. And since the relaunch back in May, June of last year, that video has garnered the most views in a very short period of time. So thank you so much for watching and sharing the love. Next question. Is there a special way to snag an elder or a pastor? Okay, I believe if my memory serves me correct, this question came from a female. And it was a result of the video I did about story time, the time that I dated an elder, and the fact that I was also married to a minister and things of that nature. There is no how do you snag. There are probably women out there that their life's mission is to snag a pastor or elder. That was never my mission. It just kind of happened, so to speak. But here's what I want to tell you. You need to really ask yourself why you're asking this question, because it is easy to see the glory of the role of being a minister, pastor, or elder's wife. There's a particularly in the Black church, level of certain type of like a church social level of being able to say that. So you really need to check why you're even asking the question. And I hate to say that, but I'm being very serious. If you're asking the question, that tells me you probably are pursuing something that you really need to check your heart to see if that's really what you should be doing. Because in most instances, when it is meant to be, it happens. So if your intent is like, I'm gonna marry a minister or elder, you better watch what you ask for. So let me break down what I mean when I say that. Appearances can be very deceptive. So many of you, when you think about how to snag an elder or minister, you think about first lady or minister's wife coming in a cute little suit, cute little hat, waving her hand like, how you doing? Everybody looking at her and seeing her as some type of royalty. The reality is there is an expectation of perfection. So once the glory wears off, you're going to be criticized like you wouldn't believe. When you are more recognized and noticed and in this, what I call a proverbial spotlight of the church, they going to see everything you do. They ain't going to like your hair. They ain't going to like your nails. And they going to tell you if you wearing red lipstick or something that they don't like and they deem is not of God, that you going to be called a sinner and everything else. Your skirts are not going to be long enough. Been there, done that. And it's this level of perfection that they try to hold you to. So that's one thing that you'll deal with. The second thing that you'll deal with, you need to be prepared to be lonely. Why? Good question. Because the church becomes the other woman. I'm just saying, I can't tell you how many times they'll get called, like out to do somebody's at the hospital, visiting somebody that is sick and shut in, going to pray for people. It can be very, very lonely. And if you don't watch yourself, you will be married but alone. And second, people think that when you marry an elder or minister, that they don't need encouragement. And many times for them to deliver the word or message like they do, when they come off that pulpit, they need to be encouraged. So you have to be the cheerleader. You have to be the one that will encourage them, because they're not always preaching in the house. There's issues in the house. And so as a woman of God, you also, when you think about, what I said earlier about being lonely, you got to also watch who you talking to, because your position as a pastor's wife, a minister's wife, an elder wife, they can't wait to get a hold of some juicy gossip on what's going on in your house. So it can be very, very lonely. So hopefully that answers that question. But the fact that you're asking that question, you may want to check your heart. All right, next question. Why does dating have to be a game? Now, okay. Yes, it is a game, and I will encourage you, first of all, to watch the video that I did on dating games. I really try my best to lay out why dating is a game, and we have to be careful about, is it a dating game or is it something else? So I'll try to give you the quick tidbit to sum up the video, but I go into more details in the video, so I'll give you a quick tidbit right now. We live in a society where there are norms, and dating is the rules of dating. It's a social norm here, and so there's things that you do and things that you don't do. Dating is like a board game that you play, just like those societal rules. It's similar to a board game. There's do's and don'ts, and there's rules with each of that. And many times when people say they don't like dating games, really what they say, they don't like the mind games that are associated with dating. And with that, I can actually agree with. But dating is a game. So if you haven't already, check out that video. That might better answer your questions. Okay, next question. Why has the church let the single community down? That is an awesome question. And to be honest with you, that is one of the reasons why many moons ago, I started this channel. And I wasn't getting answers from the church. I wasn't getting answers from YouTube. I wasn't getting answers on a scale where I felt that I could learn and grow, develop, and as a Christian single. So that's mainly why I started the channel. I think the thing that when we think about that question is, why has the church failed singles? We have to think about what the church promotes. When we think about relationships, of course, they promote the relationship with God, but they also say the relationship of God between God and the church, or with God, it is similar to a marriage relationship. And so the Bible is full of marriage things because of the way that they talk about the relationship between God and the church, or Christ and the church, right? The bride of Christ. Yet there are many people, women in particular in the church area, that struggle with finding a suitable spouse. So they go to church and they hear about the love of God, and they also hear about that is marriage this, marriage that, marriage here. And so what happens is that as singles, you kind of feel, singles kind of feel excluded. So you're like, okay, well, I'm not married, especially those who have never been married before. They don't understand. They might not have an understanding what marriage feels like. Then you're dealing with the fact that you have a lot of women that outnumber men in the church. There was a ratio, I think I read the other day, that women outnumber men in the church by 2 to 1. Then on top of all of that, the norm, at least the norm in the church environment, is that women are not supposed to pursue men. Now, sometimes that does happen because I've seen church women in the church just go running after a single brother. Bless their little heart. I feel like pray for the brothers. The other factor is that you have a lot of singles sitting in church that don't even want to be married. And they're constantly hearing marriage, marriage, marriage. So it makes it difficult. So there's a number of factors that play into someone's perception that the church has failed singles. I think the church may struggle with expanding the conversations with singleness outside of what they feel the realm of the Bible is. If the realm of the Bible does not talk about singleness and dating, then they're not going to talk about it. But as I've stated in many videos, the Bible gives wonderful principles regarding the dating relationship. They're just basic principles. They might not be specific to dating, but they're guiding principles of life that help you in the dating environment. I also believe that churches are afraid to have certain conversations, because if you have a conversation and you hear information or someone asks a question, they won't know how to answer it, and they don't want to stray people wrong. That's why you hear, what I call grab bag responses of, just pray to God and he'll and it'll be all right. Or, Jesus is your mate. Jesus is your spouse, and use Jesus and, rule the world, So that's why I think you hear a lot of that, because people date at churches, I do not believe know how to respond. Again, that's one of the reasons why I started this channel. The next question that I got is, what is the best advice that you've ever received? And this one is a difficult one because I've received a lot of great advice over my life, but the advice that is continuing to ring true in my later years is other people's opinions. Other people's opinion of you is none of your business. And a reason why I say that is that opinions can actually be very damaging to self-esteem. It can be very limiting to you as a person. And when you think about how hard it already is to live this life, you only get one. So whether or not somebody likes the car you drive, likes your furniture, likes the size of your house, apartment, or your room, or whatever, that's none of your business. You do you. You do you, and you do the things that add to you and enhance who you are and bring you joy. That's what this life is all about. It is finding out the balance of how to live a life well. And so that right now, that piece of advice is ringing true. And it's something that on a weekly basis, I have to remind myself and rehearse with myself, making sure that my actions are staying true to what I want to do versus what the trend is or what other people want me to do. The next question, do you ever go back and look at your own videos? Absolutely. Absolutely. Y'all don't understand. Let me explain something to you. Let me break it down to you so you'll have a better understanding. Listen. A lot of the videos that I've done actually here recently, you can't say some of the stuff that I've said and try to bring to your attention or teach or laugh at without going through the same thing that you're talking about. I'm sorry, you can't do that effectively, huh? You can't do it effectively. Okay, so I'll tell you right now, I'll give you a little insight clue so that you will understand what I'm talking about. About a year, not quite a year ago, but one of the early videos that I did when I relaunched my channel in 2020, I did the one called basically Dear Depressed Christian. Y'all don't understand. Listen. So I'll give you a little bit about myself. As chipper as you guys think that I am and my laugh and stuff like that, I have moments of I get low. And I think that that's part of life. You have your ups and downs and things of that nature. What is so funny in that video is that just earlier that day, I had been crying about something that I was literally powerless to change. There are things that happen in your life that you have no control over. And you need God to fix it because He's the only one that can fix it for you, see. So here's what I tell you. I was in a very, very low state when I did that video. One of the ways that I feel God teaches me and that God uses me is that he has me go through things. And you can't share something like that and not having gone through something. So I look at that video. There's a lot of videos that I look at to even just laugh at myself. Because if you can't laugh at yourself, then you know what? You just need to grow up. Because we all do stuff that's just comical, that is just funny. Because I really do feel God, when he made me, he put some jokes, okay? I know he sit up in heaven all the time laughing at me like, I can't believe she did that. Anywho, so yes, I go back and look at my videos all the time, because especially if I'm getting feedback on a video and I'm like, where is this coming from? I'll go back and listen to the video and see, well, what did I really say, that caused this amount of outrage? So yes, I look at my videos all the time to make sure, I'll go back and critique myself to try to make it better. So anyway, that answers that question. Next question. What video received the most views, feedback, etc.? And I think this ties into the question of what video are you most shocked about the response. So of course, the most views, initial views, was Signs It's Time to End a Relationship. That was the first video that let me know you have to be very clear about your intent, putting disclaimers out there, making very clear of who the video is geared toward. Because as I've consistently stated, YouTube world, y'all can be brutally honest in a way that sometimes it's very self-serving. I had taken a very long hiatus. I think a couple of you emailed me saying, Godsgirl G, what's going on? Come back. And it had been years. I think I was just, I was like Forrest Gump, started running, started doing it, but I didn't think it would take me anywhere, when you start things for your own benefit, and whether somebody looks at it or not, there was a component of that I wanted to promote the videos, but it ended up being more like therapy or counseling for me, because I really walked myself through the single journey. I was trying to do the work. And so that was me doing a vlog of my journey, and it just so happened to catch on, and I'm grateful that it did. The next video that I got the most, views and feedback, of course, was the Dear White People. Now listen, y'all, that Dear White People, to this day, go and read some of the comments. I was called basically baby killer. Some of the comments I had to just remove because they were too offensive. I got called baby killer. I got called, just all kinds of names. On the flip side, people were, basically thanking me for sharing my story. I got a lot of people commenting on that video that they had very similar experience. There was one person that recently commented that was from Hungary, the country Hungary. And they said that they had a very similar experience. And I continue to be astounded at how all these experiences are similar. And here's what I'll say. When you hear one person saying something is wrong with a particular entity, whether it be, white evangelical church or just a white church in general, everybody can't be wrong, right? So if you got multiple people sharing a similar story, Houston, there's a problem. And so it made me feel good that people could resonate with the story. But whenever I share something like that, I recognize that there is a certain level of critique that I am going to get. And when I decide to share a story like that, I really am going to end up taking punches, and that is okay. But at the end of the day, guess what? While they throwing punches, they did hear the story. They heard the reasoning, and that it hopefully would spark the awareness that there is a bigger problem, and hopefully that they will search deep to find out, to root out some of the things that could be going on for them. That video is not going to solve the problem, but the goal is just to spark some type of awareness for people. I think the thing that bothered me the most is that someone told me I was being too sensitive. And I can only assume that this was a white person telling me. They had a man's name. So this was a white male telling me this, because you have to understand African Americans have been dealing with racial issues for so long. And the thing that we hear is like, it's not that bad. You know, I think you're just being overly sensitive. No, I'm not. When you've been with the church for that long, I was with them for a number of years. I want to say it was about 7 years. And little things have been happening all along, giving feedback. They hit a feedback channel. So I would have to work through my direct line pastor that was assigned to the ministry that I was in. Then they would take the information upward. When that didn't work, I tried to go to a board member and just say, hey, having this problem. Then the final straw was when everything went down at that one service. I wrote a letter. Still no response. And those are the things I think that hurt, because you go to church because people are broken, and they're broken for various reasons, for a number of reasons. And a church should be for hurting and sick people. I shouldn't have to come to church and deal with the craziness I'm dealing with out in the world. It should look different. People, it's the church. It's the body of Christ. It should look different. The other feedback I got on the video was that I need to get out of Christianity. That ain't gonna happen. That ain't happening. We ain't doing that. No, we're not getting out of Christianity, because I truly believe in the Bible as the written word of God, God's character. And I believe in my relationship with Christ. Man will always fail you, always. But God will never fail. He cannot fail. It's not in his character to fail. There's not a bone in him that will allow him to fail. He can't fail. He's God. So why would I want to ruin that? That's right there. That's it. That's what I want. It's my relationship with God. He will continue to lead and guide me. That concludes the questions that I got. They were really, really good. So thank you so much for indulging me and allowing me to respond to some of your questions and the time that you took to actually ask me a question. Just know that I'm excited about the new year. I spent time over my break thinking about the content for this upcoming year that I can share with you to hopefully bring encouragement, get you to think about things a little bit differently. I encourage you, if you've not already subscribed, to do so. Also, like my videos, comment on the videos, because I do try to read all your comments. It don't mean I'm a comment on all of them, because some of I don't have any words. I'll leave that right there. Don't have any words to say. But you're entitled to your opinion. But anyway, share this channel with someone that you think, as we start into 2021, could actually benefit from the content. So share the link to my channel with them and encourage them to subscribe. I can't wait for you to hear some of the new content that I have planned for you this year. Don't forget, you can always email me at godsgirlg@gmail.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. Bye.